Good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here. Today is the 22nd of July, 2025. I want to welcome you to year number 2, week number 29 of the Angel Wings online personal transformation program. We are continuing to further elaborate and further expound upon energy transmutation. Please keep in mind the 5 stages. Energy activation and utilization is stage 1. Energy equalization is stage 2. Energy conservation is stage 3. Energy revitalization is stage 4. And energy transmutation is stage 5. It is my humble request to all of you online as well as who are listening independently later on to please memorize these 5 points, these 5 stages. Energy activation, energy equalization, energy conservation, energy revitalization, energy transmutation. You can do it right on your hand. And all the slides and everything are available. I'll be making them more available as we move along. So there's the 5, 6, and 5. Remember this, please. The 5 is thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. These are 5. Each one of those has 6 aspects. That is quantity, quality, direction, dimension, depth, and structure. And then there's the 5 ways that energy is to be transmuted. The energy is to be transformed. And these are these 5 points: energy activation, equalization, conservation, revitalization, transmutation. So we are actually now on, we're in week number 29 and we're looking at energy transmutation this in the current 13-week series. So I want to go through several slides here to make this point very clear, because energy transmutation is the 5th stage, which is based on the original initial 4 stages. All right, so let's go through the quick review of those initial 4 stages, just so we are all on the same page here. So first of all, the 5-stage energy cycle. The model depicted on the previous slide outlines a progressive sequence for managing the subtle and gross expenditures of one's life force across the 12 dimensions of life. Right, so how many dimensions are there? There's 12. Right, and you can see that in this diagram here, right? So there's 12 dimensions: financial and mental health and physical health and recreation and all that stuff. You should be familiar with that by now. So the model of the 5 aspect model, or the 5-stage model, is a progressive sequence. It's a progression. So we are continuously going through those stages a day at a time, an hour at a time, a week at a time. And what is the purpose of that progressive sequence? It's progressive because we are increasing our evolution towards self-mastery. That's the progression. So the progressive sequence allows us to manage the subtle and gross expenditures of our life force. Do we have life force inside? Absolutely we do. That's why we're alive. If the moment the life force goes away, moment energy comes to zero, there's no more life. That's death. So we are alive, and that life is because of energy. It could be more than that, soul, God, etc., but those are more spiritual ideas. That's fine also. We can look at it that way too. But we have life force, and life energy is present across all 12 dimensions, irrespective of age, irrespective of time, irrespective of circumstance. The only thing it depends on is the fact that we're alive. That's it. Now, these 12 dimensions are many, right? Physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, financial, relational, vocational, environmental, cultural, existential, so many ways to classify them. And we have classified them already in the previous recordings. Now, having said that, each stage builds new energetic capacities while retaining the gains of the earlier ones, right? So stage 5, which I'm not going to repeat the material covered in stages 1 through 4. Those recordings are all available. But stage 5, its real power, its real development is based on the gains attained in the previous 4 stages. All right. So having said that, we're going to focus on stage 5, but this is a way to really just hone this in carefully. Energy transmutation in stage 5 is therefore not merely the final step. It is the qualitative transformation of everything achieved in stages 1 through 4 into a higher order of functioning. Assuming we've taken the path so far and are going through this 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, we're going through it. So in stage 5, It is a further refinement, further transformation of everything that was already present in the first 4 stages. Right, so quick reminder, at the outset, in stage 1, attention is directed towards where and how much energy is consumed. Right, by tracking physiological arousal, cognitive bandwidth, and emotional valence in concrete context, we create an energetic ledger. This will be talked about in year number 1. Only when usage is visible can any form of intentional alteration begin. Intentional alteration is possible when we are aware of what's happening. This is all stage 1. This stage establishes the raw data that will be later refined. Right? So this is all covered in the first 13-week series last year. In the second 13-week series, what did we cover? Once the current flow is mapped, the practitioner focuses on balancing polarities, sympathetic versus parasympathetic activation, assertive versus repetitive drives, masculine versus female archetypal energies, and so forth. We talked about all of that in the second 13-week series. Equalization prevents chronic oscillations that leak life force. It stabilizes the system, produces an energetic homeostasis on which deeper work depends. So that is energy equalization. That is stage 2, the second 13-week series last year. Okay, the third stage, energy conservation. What was that? With balance achieved, the next imperative is storage. Conservation practices, mindful breathing retention, sleep hygiene, nutrition, density, boundary setting. We've talked about that before. It reduces unnecessary outflows. This is called energy conservation. So psychologically, it means converting reactivity into response ability, therefore banking psychic in currency. The reservoir created here becomes a substrate for later renewal and refinement. Right? So this is all part of stage 3. That was also covered last year. Stage 4 is what we started this year, energy revitalization. Conserved energy can stagnate unless it is periodically renewed. Revitalization introduces cyclical influx through pranayama, breathing practices, creative flow states, aerobic conditioning, contemplative awe, and immersive nature exposure, reoxygenating the stored charge. The reservoir becomes not only fuller but fresher, capable of producing elasticity to life demands. So we've talked about that extensively in the series beginning this year on energy revitalization. Right, so now that brings us to stage 5 and week number 29. Energy transmutation integrates and uplifts the prior 4 functions in 3 decisive moves. So what are these 3 decisive moves? The first is called alchemical re-encoding. If you're taking notes, you can certainly write these down. Otherwise, you can refer to the slides, and however you're doing it, it's perfectly fine. Alchemical re-encoding is what? The balanced, stored, and revitalized energy is now recoded into higher ordered expressions. Fear into courageous action. Fear, whatever fear we may have, it transmutes into courageous action. Sexual drives are natural in life, certainly, but they can also be transmuted into creative genius. That's a whole subject in itself. Then grief into compassionate service. Yes, rather than being stuck in grief, do service towards others. Compassionate service is good for us, good for the world. So neurologically, limbic signals are routed through prefrontal cortex networks, converting reflex into intentionality. Now, this is the first stage of energy transmutation, or first type of energy transmutation, and it's a decisive move. So the revitalized energy, the balanced, stored, and revitalized energy that is available is recoded. It's a recoding into higher ordered expression. Now that's very interesting, right? So the raw energy that is now available, we need to decide what that higher ordered expression looks like in our lives. So let's look at some examples. Let's look at some examples. This is called higher ordered recoding, and we'll talk about this a bit here. Very interesting. So for example, let's see. Okay. we can use an example with regards to, the kind of physical activity we do. We can say that we want to do higher ordered physical activity, which would mean what? That energy is more balanced now, going through the other stages, there's more conservation. We can now take it to a new level where we can decide to utilize that energy and to transform it, to transmute it in a very wonderful way by increasing the amount and the quality of physical activity. So in all 12 dimensions, we can use energy to recode it and to take it further. The physical activity is one example. Mental activity is another example. The thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy, all 5 is another example. So for example, if Sachin is still holding on to some problems of the past inside of me in the memories, I can say that no, I'm going to transmute out of that. I don't want to be stuck over there at all. I've gone through the first 4 stages, done some exercises and all. I want out of that range of binding. I don't want to be bound there anymore, right? So how do I do that? What do I do in that? Well, in this stage, in the current stage that we're talking about recoding into a higher ordered expression. Now, again, the question is how? Well, the question is how by deliberately setting a vision of that higher ordered expression. I have to create the vision of that, and then recoding means that the conserved power, the revitalized power, is now available. It can rather easily be made to function in a different way completely, right? So by going through those initial stages, I can now decide I want to do good exercises throughout the day, every day. I want to utilize my memories in the right way. This is called recoding. I don't want to use language that is going to be harmful towards anybody. Things like that. So higher ordered expression. People on the more spiritual, religious side can spend more time study of scriptures or more time in churches and things like that. It's higher ordered expression. It depends what that is. It's different for each person, right? It all varies. Someone might say, no, I want to take lots of trips and I want to be spending more time in nature. Fine. You have to decide for yourself what higher ordered expression looks like in your life, and I have to decide in my life. Now, the barometer for this is experience. The experience is of enhanced joy, enhanced health, enhanced well-being. That's our experience in this. The balance is even more solid. It's even more solidified when we reach this beautiful state of higher ordered expression. Right? So is it possible to do this? Yes. Again, it's only possible when we create a vision. So this week, in week number 29, this is the exercise. The main exercise this week is to create the recoded higher ordered expression. How do we do it? Create a vision. Create literally a vision. Where is my higher ordered expression? Ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question across all 12 domains, all 12 dimensions. There's relationship domain or dimension. There's food, there's health, there's mental health, there's recreation, there's occupation, right? All of those things. Where is higher order for me? And it's different for each person. Now, I could say, like in my case, that I want to study some, 5 theories in psychology to a much greater extent for some purpose, for angel wing, whatever. Now, nobody's telling me to do that, but I could set that as a task for myself, or as a determination that Sachin is going to study these 5 theories, take some notes on it, really understand them better, things like that. I have to decide that first. After I decide that, then only can actions be taken to recode my mind in that decision. It's a recoding. Recoding means what? That my mind is already functioning. I'm performing actions in a particular way. Once I set that direction that I want to study those 5 theories, or these are the 5 things I want to do that are actually higher ordered, right? Okay, I can set that direction. I create the vision. The recoding happens internally when I start taking steps in that direction. As I start taking steps and I don't deviate from that is called recoding. Recoding is where we do not deviate from the steps needed for higher ordered functioning. And once we start taking those steps, that is where energy transmutation happens in real time. I hope that makes sense. It happens in real time. I mean, we'll take the example I just gave, that I'm going to study these 5 theories. Let's say there's 70, 80 pages to read about that. I could read about it, I can think about it, talk about it, make notes, whatever, right? Fine. But have I reached the goal of higher ordered functioning through that? Yes. If I'm in that path, it might take me a week, it might take me 2 weeks to systematically study those things. The same thing is true with working out. Let's say that I want to work out more, I want to improve my health, but I want to be more physically active. Just slowly increase the activity, based on doctors' approval and things like that. Yes, improve diet. I can improve in all 12 dimensions. Improve communication with family members. But I have to decide what that looks like. I cannot do a recoding or go into higher ordered functioning until a vision is there of what it can be like. I have to create that vision. And from that vision, I don't deviate from that then. So that's the more difficult part, because we may have a nice vision. That itself takes time, but once we have a nice vision, then we don't deviate from that vision. And to not deviate from that vision is what is the preparation in the first 4 stages. That's why this takes time. When we go through the first 4 stages in those exercises, we are well prepared to actually do this. Right? And once we start doing it, there is a tremendous amount of benefit. The benefit is intense. It's immense benefit. Right? So the neurological aspect, our limbic system signals are routed through prefrontal networks, meaning our higher brain function becomes active, and rather than just being reactive, acting reflexively, we are more resilient, we are more compassionate, we are more courageous, we are more steady. All of those things happen once we recode into the expressions that are higher ordered. So this is called alchemical recoding. These are all advanced ideas, and everything we're going to talk about from this point on forward is actually quite advanced, but it's all applicable. Even if you're joining new, no worries about that. You can still apply all this thing, but these are fantastic concepts that have a lot of power and benefit in every human being's life. Okay, now having said that, what does alchemical mean? It means to transform, to transform from one state to another. That's called alchemy. So one substance transforms into another substance. Our raw energy transmutes into a different form. That is called alchemical re-encoding. All right. So this is the first decisive move. It's a decisive move because I can make a decision to actually do this. Yes, make definitely a decision to do this recoding. All right. So that's a major exercise this week. Now there's 2 more decisive decisions. That is called state trait conversion. What is that? What begins as states of activation, balance, storage, and renewal crystallize into enduring traits: resilience, equanimity, and generativity. The practitioner no longer merely manages energy episodically, they embody a stable energetic signature that self-optimizes in real time. I know it's difficult to understand. I'm going to break it up and really explain this carefully. So the first 4 stages, energy activation, equalization, revitalization, those first 4 stages, they are states. What are they? They are states that began as activation. We activate our energy in certain ways. We learn how to balance it. We learn how to store it. We learn how to renew it, and to crystallize it, and renewal crystallize. So what began as states of activation, balance, storage, and renewal, they crystallize. It crystallizes, those states crystallize into traits. So this is the second thing that happens as we continue towards higher ordered expression. Our states crystallize into enduring traits. It's traits like resiliency, equanimity, generativity, and so many others like that. They're enduring parts of our personality. It's not just merely managing energy episodically, a little bit here and there episodically. No, not like that. Those traits are within us. They embody a stable, energetic signature that self-optimizes in real time. That means we get established in a transmutation state. So that state trait conversion is the second decisive move that happens. I hope these points are clear. Please do ask me about it if they are not clear. These are very powerful ideas and they're extraordinary, right? So as we move further towards transmutation, the state of activation, balance, and storage and renewal, all of them convert into traits. That energy activation, it balances naturally. It goes into higher ordered expression naturally. And it happens like that an hour at a time. Eventually, by the end of this entire series, this current 13-week series, we want most of our energies that are in state of activation, balance, storage, and renewal to crystallize into enduring traits. It's a beautiful way to put this. That's a crystallization into enduring long-term traits. And what is the benefit of that? We are transmuted. The state trait conversion is a phenomenal transmutation. It's beautiful. I'll give you an example on the spiritual side, the devotional side. Let's say someone says, I want to be more connected to God. This is an easy example to understand. In any tradition, any religion, any path, bona fide path, somebody says, I want to be connected to God. Okay, fine. All right. Well, we start with the states, do devotional practices, things like that. And then eventually, it becomes part of our nature. It's embedded within. It's embodied cognition. It's within us. So the periodic states of devotion become part of the personality trait. And that is called state trait conversion. That's an example. So when devotion, for example, reaches that state, that level, it is moving into that crystallized state. The same thing is true with relationships, with good relationships with family members, with friends. It's beautiful. It's a crystallization of really enduring equanimity, generosity, things like that. Really good qualities begin to develop. This is called state trait conversion. We can talk a lot more about it. But now the third point, the third decisive move is cross-dimensional synergy. So because transmutation refines the quality of energy, the benefit radiates across all 12 dimensions simultaneously. This is absolutely correct. Why? Because the quality of energy is changed from the root. It's going to radiate in all 12 areas of life without any problems at all. A single act of inner alchemy. So for example, transmuting anger into assertive clarity improves interpersonal communication. That's the relational dimension. It improves decision making. That's vocational. It improves in that area. It improves immune response. Physical health is better. And meaning construction, existential, meaning that our meaning of life is more clear. Just transmuting anger into assertive clarity. That's an example, right? So anger gets transmuted into assertive clarity. What is that assertive clarity? That things are very clear in the mind about higher ordered expression. Always go back to that. And when when a person decides that they want to reach that and apply that higher ordered expression, they become assertive. It's an assertion that this is what my life is going to be. So the anger and negativity and these things begin to dissipate. And what is the benefit? The benefit is in the refinement of the quality of energy that radiates across 12 dimensions, where interpersonal communication improves, decision-making improves, immune system improves, meaning construction, meaning of life improves. That life has a meaning, it has a purpose, there is a direction, there is a goal. Otherwise, many people are stuck in what life has no purpose, it's meaningless, I'm bored all the time, I'm this, I'm that. They're just saturated all the time. So this is called cross-dimensional synergy. These are very advanced ideas. Advanced in the sense they are advanced in terms of its application. That's why we have spent 1.5 years already in this path to get to this point, to start stage 5 of energy transmutation, so that we can eventually reach self-mastery, which we're going to start talking about next year. But before we talk about that and actually try to practice self-mastery, we want to make sure we can do this. That alchemical re-encoding, one aspect of transmutation. Second aspect is state trait conversion. Second aspect. Third aspect is cross-dimensional synergy. These are very, very beautiful and extraordinary ideas. It's a matter of application. First, understand the idea. Even Sachin is presenting it. Sachin has to understand it very clearly. The clarity of understanding the idea is the very first step. And then from that, it's application, one day at a time. Any of these ideas, because all three of these, alchemical re-encoding, state trait conversion, and cross-dimensional synergy, all happen simultaneously. One doesn't happen without the other. They all happen together. Right? So the key here is to set the direction towards higher ordered expressions. That is the absolute master key. And once we are in that modality, that this is what we want to do, amazing things begin to happen in our lives. There is no question about it. Now there are some practical implications living from transmuted energy. Because energy is transmuted, 3 amazing things happen. Strategic minimalism. Less energy is wasted in self-conflict, allowing laser-focused engagement with higher value goals. Right? Let's understand this point. We don't waste energy in self-conflict. Most people are conflicted internally. That stops. Or it is reduced substantially. And because of that, we can focus on engaging with higher value goals, higher goals, better goals in life. So minimalism comes about. We stop wasting time and energy where it doesn't belong. And as a result of that, our goals are higher ordered goals. We wind up in what is called minimalism. We stay away from things that really are just energy vampires, energy drainers, all that kind of stuff, allowing for laser focused engagement with higher value goals. Very powerful. It's a tremendous thing. Adaptive mastery, and this is what we're aiming towards in year number 3 and 4. Revitalized reserves support rapid learning and creative problem solving. See how beautiful that is. Our intellectual power, our emotional power, our memory-related power is so well enhanced that the revitalized resources from the previous stage, they support rapid learning. We are able to learn quickly. We can solve issues and problems and obstacles very, very nicely because there is so much good power that is awakened inside of us. This is called adaptive mastery. And I really, as I said, I appreciate all of you coming online to learn all of this. And I'm also trying to learn it. I'm presenting it and learning it also myself. Very amazing. These are beautiful, beautiful ideas. Point number 3. What are the practical implications? The third practical implication of living from transmuted energy is spiritual expansion. Subtle energies freed from lower ordered compulsions catalyze deep meditative absorptions and altruistic impulses. Our spirituality expands. Who doesn't want that? Why wouldn't we want that? How beautiful is that? subtle energies freed from lower ordered compulsions. The lower ordered compulsions, the things that really don't serve us, the things that really are creating a lot of trouble and draining energy and causing the brain to not function properly in its way, neurologically also. Greed and anger and uncontrolled sexuality and all kinds of things like that. Negatively seeing others and all of that stuff. What is that? That is a lower ordered compulsion, performing repetitive acts again and again. That is called compulsion, and they're lower ordered compulsions. They are stopped. So subtle energy is no longer there. It's freed up from there. So it's freed up from there, and what does that do? It catalyzes deep meditative absorptions. Catalyzing meaning energy becomes a catalyst. That's what it is actually. It's a catalyst for experiencing the higher ordered goals we all are going to set, hopefully this week. So our lower ordered energies do not function in that direction anymore. Once we set the higher ordered goals, our energy shift in a new direction. If they're still stuck in lower ordered activity, then still work is needed from the previous stages. There is something missing still. There is some deficiency somewhere that needs to be looked at. But still continue doing the current exercises. Now, lower ordered compulsions catalyze deep meditative absorptions and altruistic impulses. How beautiful is that? We can be altruistic in our family. We say charity begins at home. Tolerance and giving time and energy and effort to others in the family is altruism. Altruism begins at home. Charity begins at home. Start there. It's beautiful. And a lot of good things can come out of it. Right? So this is the third practical implication about living from a transmuted state of energy. Very beautiful, very powerful, and has a lot of good benefit for us. Okay, now, so this is the concluding slide for today, and then we're going to do our quantum principle. So energy transmutation represents the moment when careful bookkeeping turns into artistic investment. It's an analogy. When balanced accounts begin to generate interest, when stored and refined capital funds a new architecture of selfhood. It is the lived proof that awareness, balance, conservation, and renewal are not endpoints, but preparatory rites for the higher alchemy of becoming. This is the whole point. This slide here, this two sentences here, are what we're going to be talking about the rest of this series, about energy transmutation. I want to be really clear on what this means. Energy transmutation represents the moment when careful bookkeeping, this is an analogy, turns into artistic investment. Right? So we are now going to invest our conserved energy, our revitalized energy, into higher ordered functioning. Without setting the mind for higher ordered functioning, higher goals, there cannot be transmutation. It cannot happen. The analogy of the caterpillar transmuting into a butterfly is just an analogy. It's like the caterpillar, it has the innate capacity to transmute into a butterfly. A decision is made, or somehow biologically the time comes, now I have to transform into a butterfly. That is what is there for all of us who have followed this path up to this point, that we're ready to transmute into a new dimension, into a new higher ordered life. And that is when, just like the analogy says, careful bookkeeping turns into artistic investment. You have saved money and checked your books and everything is available. Now the stored power is there. Now you can invest into paintings, you can make paintings, you can buy paintings, do wonderful things with the stored energy. If we don't do anything with the stored energy, it will eventually just stagnate. So that's another problem. I want to mention that very clearly at this point, that until and unless we, all of us together, set a destination for higher ordered functioning, our internal energies and our mind and everything will stagnate. It will stagnate, and if it stagnates, we will drop down into an imbalanced state again. So to sustain balance, which is the theme for this year, and then eventually to open the door into self-mastery, which is the theme for next year, to achieve that, we need to definitely set our minds towards higher ordered functioning. Once we set our minds in that direction, amazing life changes are going to happen. There are always ups and downs and changes in life, but our steadiness, our equanimity, our generosity, our altruism, these all begin to expand and increase in time. So these are all beautiful points to keep in mind. Now, the second sentence here, that it is the lived proof. It's living proof, right? We ourselves become the living proof of what? That awareness, choiceless awareness. We've talked about it before. Choiceless awareness, balance, energy conservation, time utilization in the right way, and renewal from inside are not end points. They're not end points. They are preparation for higher alchemy. They are preparatory rites for the higher alchemy of becoming. How fantastic is this? How fantastic. If you and I, if all of us together, we really understand this and do this, life is going to become symphony of joy. Sachin would guarantee that. Guarantee, 100% guarantee. Sachin here, with all humility, would guarantee that you would be experiencing tremendous joy in life once we actually start doing this. And once we start moving in this dimension of higher ordered alchemy, higher ordered functioning, higher ordered goals, and extraordinary regeneration again and again, extraordinary revitalization again and again. And there is just a metamorphosis. It is the arc of measurement to metamorphosis. It is an arc from measurement to metamorphosis. The first 4 stages, we measure, we try to really develop ourselves in the right way. And then we go into metamorphosis. And that is what we are talking about here. Now, what I'd like to do here, I'd love to keep talking about this, but I want to go into the quantum principle for today. Give me just a moment here while I open that up. Hold on just a moment. Okay, so this quantum principle is 29. It's recognizing money as energy and using money as a vitamin. We've been talking about this every week, and we always say this. But this is a quantum principle in itself. Why is this important? We cannot do anything in life without energy. We cannot do anything in life without money. Money is a type of energy that can be utilized. It's a means of transferring energy. It's a means of bartering. It's a means of transferring goods and products and services. That's what it's for. So it is not to be abused. It is not to be misused. It is to be developed from in the right way, using it as a vitamin. So that concept we've talked about last year, it just simply means, the concept is very simple, that just as we take a vitamin and it energizes all of the other biological processes, we don't eat tons of vitamins. We just take 1 or 2 vitamins. Similarly, when we use energy as a vitamin, when we use money as a vitamin, learning how it can energize all of the different dimensions of life, then that is the best use of money as a vitamin. It is a high-level energizer using a minimal amount relatively. I mean, the amount is going to vary from person to person, time to time, right? So there's a lot of slides here. I won't go through those right now too much because it's some of the stuff we've already talked about before, but you look at these slides later on. Money is, of course, an economic energy. It is a continuous movement. It flows and facilitates exchange. We understand all these things. Mindset shift, viewing money beyond currency, looking at it from scarcity to abundance, money as energy. We're going to do a whole series on this with a guest presenter, maybe next year sometime on this, or maybe even this year. We'll see how it goes, right? So there's a lot of ideas here on this, and we will talk about them in more detail later on. But the general idea is to use money as a vitamin. Try to put some money every week into the vitamin envelope, and try to do homework exercises every week on this, right? So with that, let's do our closing song, and we will then be able to stop here.